With every passing year, we're getting to understand the secrets of Mars a little more, but there's still a hell of a lot that we just don't know about the mysterious red planet, and a lot of odd objects on the surface that just don't make sense. From a possible remnant of war to a giant space worm, here are 15 unexplained discoveries recently found on Mars. Before we begin, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and click the notification bell for more amazing videos every day. With that being said, let's begin. Number 15. The cannonball. When it comes to Mars, most scientists spend their time trying to prove or disprove that there's life on Mars. But some scientists, like former NASA employee Richard C. Hoagland, believe that the focus of debate is entirely misplaced. The question, they say, should not be, is there life on Mars? Instead, it should be, what happened to life on Mars? And according to Hoagland, there's an answer to that question. Nuclear war, naturally. As evidence for this claim, ufologists and conspiracy theorists cite the discovery of a strange metal ball discovered by NASA's Curiosity rover during its exploration of the red planet. The object is no bigger than a softball or baseball and is considered by many amateur space experts to be a cannonball. Supporters of this theory claim that the cannonballs were not shot on the planet but at it, perhaps as a way to burn the planet's atmosphere and destroy the civilization upon the planet. That's certainly one way to instigate a nuclear war. None of this has or even can be confirmed. But there's something bizarre about finding a small metallic ball on the surface of a planet entirely made of sand. NASA denies any potential nuclear attack on Mars, but honestly, did we really expect them to do anything else? Time for the rare topic. Pretty much all of our images of Mars come from NASA's official Mars rover, but we managed to find this intriguing satellite image that offers a whole new look at the red planet. The image clearly shows what looks to be a herd of animals of some kind migrating across the desert landscape. We're not sure exactly what kind of animals they are, but they seem to be pretty similar to deer or some other grazing animal. For those skeptical of what they're seeing, think about this. The sheer fact that humanity exists on Earth is the result of a series of highly unlikely occurrences, from the creation of the galaxy to our birth in the next generation. With the universe nothing more than a cosmic game of luck, isn't it highly likely that there is life on other planets? So what do you think about this photo? Is it a herd of Martian wildebeest running across the plain, or is it just another Mars-based hoax? Remember to comment down below with the hashtag #RareTopic and let us know your opinion in relation to what we just showed on screen. And now to the next topic. Number 14. The Mars worm. When scientists suggest that there may be life on Mars, they're always quick to clarify that any life on the planet is most likely surviving underground. Due to the high quantity of radiation blasted out by the sun, any life form would have to be firmly underground to have any chance of survival. That, to many people, can only mean one thing: a worm. Well, what other underground creature did you expect? A mole? The theory of the giant Mars worm has been around for years, but with the advent of the internet and the latest photographs beamed to Earth from the surface of the red planet, they've only gotten more popular. These photos, snapped by NASA's Curiosity rover, suggest that there may well be something to the theory of extraterrestrial worms, though some very vocal skeptics are quick to say that it's just a big rock, because they just like to suck the fun out of everything, I guess. Rock or not, the image has captured the minds of the public and become a very valid and popular theory in its own right among believers. Until NASA is able to build a robot that can venture beneath the surface of Mars, I doubt we'll ever get an explanation for this bizarre finding. Number 13. Martian spiders. As a firm arachnophobe and an extraterrestriophobe, I don't know if that's a thing, but I'll say it is. It's safe to say that the writer of this video did not enjoy researching this entry. After the Curiosity rover's images were beamed back to Earth, some conspiracy theorists immediately began hunting for unusual or straight up weird traits of the red planet. And one of the first things they noticed were what could be giant Martian spiders. My fellow arachnophobes, better brace yourself. The theory goes that these large, black, hairy looking things are actually supersized arachnids that live on the surface. So basically, our writer's idea of a waking nightmare. This is one of the few theories that NASA has openly corrected, claiming that the alleged spiders are actually just cracks in the surface of the planet, caused by extreme weather and sun damage. While that is music to many people's ears, it's not quite good enough for conspiracy theorists who believe this whole thing reeks of a cover-up. The big problem with Mars is that the extreme radiation from the sun means that it's generally unsafe for any living creature to be exposed on the surface, which makes claims of giant surface-dwelling animals a hard sell. But given that nobody can actually hop on a plane and go check it out, so to speak, it's really up to you to decide who's telling the truth. For once, this writer is praying it's NASA. Number 12. Dust cloud. Here on Earth, reports of sandstorms are common in just about every major desert on the planet. But how does it work on Mars? While the winds on Mars are just enough to kick the dust up, images from the surface suggest that something is a little bit unusual with the physics. The images capture a dust cloud of some kind being kicked up on the surface, but the movement of said cloud is just bizarre. Rather than merely kicking up and fading into nothing, as it would here on Earth, the dust carefully, almost deliberately, weaves around the rock and then just kind of moves as if being controlled by a human or another living being. The internet has obviously adopted this as evidence of ghosts or invisible aliens living and thriving on Mars, but given the different climate, there could well be a more rational explanation. But since this is a video on unexplained discoveries, it goes without saying that we don't have one. While scientists claim that the whole thing could be cleared up with an in-house experiment, there's just no way to sample the sand itself, nor the conditions, accurately without going to Mars. And sadly, we don't have that many expendable scientists, and I'm not volunteering. Number 11. Blueberries. Can you tell the difference between blueberries and space rocks? If so, you may just be the very person we need to resolve this question. Scattered over the surface of Mars, tiny little round shapes have proven to be the scientific equivalent of the blue and black, white and gold dress. While some people see them as blue-tinted rocks, others see them as blueberries or something else. Biological deer poop. That's right, we're talking about poop. Those are all pretty wild suggestions and radically different, yet nobody can agree on what these things are. Since we have no idea if there is life on Mars, any suggestion of deer poop is pretty much unfounded and unprovable. Okay, I guess we're not talking about poop. But while rocks are well known to be all over the surface of Mars, could it be that space blueberries could actually thrive on such a radiation-heavy planet? As of yet, nobody has broken their teeth trying to eat one of these mysterious items, mostly because nobody's gotten the chance. But it's worth noting that NASA has openly acknowledged the existence of these blueberries, making this one of the rare discoveries to earn the achievement of a non-denial from the space agency. But could this be proof that there is life on Mars, or is it just another series of rocks? You tell me. Number 10. Water. Since the moment NASA got its rover onto the surface of Mars, one of the biggest questions of all has been, is there water on the surface? Known to have one of the most uninhabitable atmospheres in the entire galaxy, it's a big and important question, and the answer may lie in the aptly named Perseverance Valley, a fascinating water-cut valley near to an impact crater known as Endeavour. If that's a lot of sciencey words, that's basically just a big empty river next to a big hole. Perseverance Valley is a rare find on the surface of Mars, a valley carved out by a fluid that was likely water. Now, of course, there is no water running through this area. The Opportunity rover did, however, manage to find traces of a compound element made up in part of H2O. This suggests that the old spillway did at one point contain some form of water exclusive to the atmosphere of Mars, which is a big find. So while this provides a definite conclusion to the question of whether or not Mars has water, it raises yet another question. What kind of water does it have, and how did this valley work with it? That question remains undetermined, and NASA wouldn't appreciate me starting another conspiracy theory. But the answer is probably Coca-Cola, because that stuff is everywhere. Number 9. DNA building blocks. Whether you believe sentient life is the product of natural evolution or the creation of a higher power, all life on Earth is formed by what we now refer to as the building blocks of existence: protein, DNA, and the lesser known RNA, or ribonucleic acid. In 2017, NASA's exploration of Mars discovered that a key ingredient to RNA production was hiding on the surface of the planet: boron. The very presence of boron on the surface of Mars opens the door to the possibility that there could absolutely be life on the red planet. Scientists investigating the creation of Earth's first proto-life have always struggled due to the fundamental instability of ribose, another key ingredient to the creation of RNA. However, when boron is dissolved in water, it transforms into a borate, a chemical element capable of stabilizing the ribose long enough to form RNA. For those of us, like myself, who are unscientific and didn't understand that, ribose plus boron equals ribonucleic acid. Ribonucleic acid equals possible life. Time to turn my science brain off again. All of this means that the conditions to create life on Mars possibly existed all the way back before the arrival of mankind on Earth. While Martian life is still unconfirmed, it's incredible to know that there are building blocks right there on the surface, just waiting to be kickstarted. Number 8. Dinosaur skull. In all the discussions about extraterrestrials and aliens, it's surprising that nobody has ever stopped to ask about whether or not Mars is home to species of dinosaurs. Thankfully, nobody has to ask the question anymore, as NASA has delivered fresh photos that really kickstarted those arguments, whether we like it or not. The image in question shows what appears to be a skull propped up against a pile of Martian rocks. Given our general knowledge about dinosaurs from Jurassic Park to the enormous skeletons on display in natural history museums around the world, it's hard to see the skeleton as anything other than a relic from the body of a dinosaur. But some, like legendary ufologist Scott C. Waring, believe that this is not a dinosaur whatsoever, but the leftover remains of an alien species on Mars. This is, of course, far from the only photograph of a potential Mars dinosaur, and really, it's hard to dismiss the evidence. Whatever these creatures may be, they clearly share some kind of DNA with our own extinct species, offering some validity to the theory that Mars had the exact same species as we did, just in a different way. Maybe there's a Martian version of me. Bet he couldn't write these videos though. Number 7. Martian Stonehenge. Even on Earth, Stonehenge is one of the strangest and most inexplicable creations in our global history, so it's hard to even think of how Mars could one-up it. But here we are, yet another relic of what ufologists claim was a huge nuclear war. The Martian Stonehenge is a formation of rocks that looks far too constructed to be a natural occurrence. Apparently, art is not just a universal language on our planet, but on Mars too. While many conspiracy theorists have claimed to discover pyramid-like structures on the mysterious surface of Mars, this is one of the few that has gained any traction. The structure is constructed with 2 circles of rocks and a square at the center, a formation so specific that it could easily be some kind of cosmic board game that we don't know about. That specificity makes it only more unlikely that this is a result of a meteorite or some other natural cause. Either way, whatever may have created this, it's generated just as much discussion as its Earth-based counterpart. Number 6. Martian Ghost. Despite the fact that Mars is fundamentally uninhabitable for humans, the Curiosity rover allegedly managed to pick up a photo of some form of a ghostly-looking humanoid woman standing in the midst of the desert landscape. Maybe she lives there, perhaps she took a wrong turn at Albuquerque, or maybe it's not a woman at all. The photo shows what appears to be a humanoid-type figure standing on a rock, wearing a dress, though she looks decidedly not human. The weird, almost smoky or shadowy air around her makes the figure look as though it's not entirely there. This is the kind of appearance we're used to seeing with ghost-like creatures or spirits, which makes this image a little weird to say the least. It could of course be an optical illusion on a planet about which we know very little, but UFO enthusiasts are adamant that this is not the case. NASA, however, has dismissed the image outright, reasoning that the pictures from Mars encourage a lot of people to see things that aren't actually there. But dismissing something without looking into it is not a particularly convincing argument, and ufologists continue to obsess over the mysterious ghost haunting the surface of Mars. Who is she, and how did she come to haunt a planet that she'd likely died on? If you have any thoughts, let us know below. Number 5. Ancient civilization. Given the extreme radiation that comes from living on Mars, it seems almost impossible to imagine that there could have been some ancient civilization that called the planet home. But if we choose to believe that there is life on Mars, it's almost inevitable that they belong to some kind of civilization not unlike our own. And, thanks to images sent back from the Curiosity Mars rover, we may have our first glimpse at it. Popular ufologist Scott Waring brought the public's attention to a photo that allegedly showed a bizarre alien dome that had been built onto the surface of Mars. Actually calling it a dome feels a little generous. Whatever you want to call this protruding landmass, there's no question that it's a weird, almost surreal creation. Surrounded by vein-like lines, the dome seems to be some kind of hub, though the purpose of it is very much open to interpretation. Some viewers claim that they can see the outlines of foundations for houses littered around the image, while others have claimed to have seen animals, whales, or other bizarre findings. All of this could suggest the remnants of an ancient civilization that have now moved on. Or it could just be another weird optical illusion on a planet we've never actually stepped foot on. Number 4. Bones and fossils. Conspiracy theorists are often the butt of the joke when it comes to making groundbreaking discoveries, often pointing out unconvincing or generally nondescript items. But in 2017, some ufologists were thrilled to have found what they claimed was conclusive proof of current or former life on Mars. The proof? A bunch of fossilized bones. Okay, maybe sometimes they deserve to be the butt of the joke. The footage, allegedly sourced from the Curiosity rover, shows what appears to be a collection of fossil bones scattered over the soil, along with a bunch of fungi growing on the surface of rocks. While finding some mushrooms would be a pretty ho-hum news story here on Earth, it's a pretty massive deal on Mars, as it means that there is alien life growing and thriving on Mars. Well, that's only the case if it's true. And as we know with conspiracy theories, a theory is not necessarily always true. NASA is clear to stress that it has not found any proof nor evidence that life on Mars has ever existed, all but implying the footage to be a hoax. That'd be a pretty big disappointment. Of course, we don't know if that's true. All we have to go off is the footage, and while NASA is pretty confident in its falsehood, the conspiracy theorists among us take that as a clear sign that NASA has something they don't want the public to know about. So for now, this is a very much unsolvable case. Number 3. The Martian meteorite. While we don't know if intelligent life exists on Mars, scientists know for a fact that the red planet is home to some tiny microscopically small little creatures. And we know that because Earth has been the home to some little reported Martian meteorites. That's right, Martians are among us. They're just in rock form. In 1977, the Japanese National Institute of Polar Research happened to discover what is now known as the ALH 77005 meteorite, hidden in Antarctica's Allen Hills. Taking the meteorite in for research, the scientists dated it back over 175 million years. But the biggest news was yet to come. After detailed studies and analysis of its inner workings and composition, the meteorite was found to have many links to gases and meteorites found on Mars by the Curiosity rover, making this an extraterrestrial rock of Martian origin. The more research was performed on the meteorite, the more certain scientists were about naming it a Martian meteorite. But most intriguing was the discovery that the mineralized organic material embedded within the rock is not totally dissimilar to the iron oxidizing microbes we have here on Earth. Within each Martian meteorite, thousands of bacterial microbes thrive. But what they do, what they are, and what they want are a complete mystery to us. Maybe they're spying on us. Number 2. Martian mushrooms. If there is life on Mars, the most crucial follow-up question will be about how they survive. Living on a planet with minimal atmosphere and unforgiving sun, what do they eat? What food is available on such a hostile world? According to one group of scientists, the answer is mushrooms. But if you ask others, that's a pretty controversial claim. Citing photographs discovered by NASA's Opportunity, alien obsessors claim to have discovered proof that living vegetation, including mushrooms, algae, and lichens, are growing and thriving on the surface of the planet. But while many scientists are in agreement that Mars likely does harbor life on its world, most of them believe it's probably under the surface, all but torpedoing any chance of this argument being true. NASA, as per usual, hasn't publicly commented on the claims whatsoever. A rare silence from such a vocal scientific force. You'd think they'd be all over this with a denial. NASA, you're slipping. So ultimately, the topic of Martian mushrooms is a controversial one. Some people are convinced and others just think it's unlikely. But what can be agreed is that it's nice to hear NASA not deny something for a change. Number 1. Trees on Mars. NASA has denied that there are trees. You know, I just had to get that one out there early. After a number of amateur astrologists spotted what appeared to be a number of trees lining the dunes of Mars, NASA was forced to step in and claim the conspiracy before it even began. I really am starting to think they just don't want anyone to enjoy the wild mass guessing that comes with every minor discovery. NASA insisted that the viral phenomenon was nothing more than an optical illusion created by a lot of very complicated science. According to scientists, the illusion is created by a kind of sun-heated dry ice, a tree-like structure. That's a pretty impressive bit of scientific knowledge. But we still believe they're trees and NASA can't stop us. NASA, please don't stop us, this is all we have. So according to NASA, there are no such things as trees on Mars. But that has done nothing to calm the conspiracy theorists who continue to insist that NASA is just covering up for what is clearly some kind of elaborate anti-tree conspiracy. Which side do you fall on? Are they just big pieces of sand, or are they part of an anti-tree movement orchestrated by NASA? Which of these discoveries do you find most fascinating? And do you have any odd findings of your own? Let us know in the comments. Also, check out our other cool stuff showing up on screen right now. See you next time.